Next is Senator Menendez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary, it's good to see you again, having had you serve in New Jersey as well before. We appreciate your service. Mr. Holmes, let me ask you, I read your testimony, and you argued that increased unemployment insurance disincentivizes people to work and increases the length of unemployment. And on page 8 of your testimony, you claim to cite evidence of this by arguing that since UI payments have been extended, long-term unemployment has increased by about 4 weeks over the past year. Now, I looked at it, and I don't know how that is reconciled with the fact that millions of job losses through late 2008 and into 2009, don't you think that that's the primary factor that led to the increase in long-term unemployment?
Well, I think that I think what I said in my testimony is that that those payments contributed to the increase in duration, and there are a couple studies that have been done on that. Actually, quite a few. CBO recognizes that effect. Also, there was a study that I cited in my testimony from Pennsylvania that laid out in quite a bit of detail what happened in the 1980s. That is, there were increases in weekly benefit, increases in the number of weeks that were provided, that duration of unemployment increased. And if you look at that data, it shows that immediately after the exhaustion of whatever the latest extension was, that the reemployment spiked up. And the authors there speculated or
I don't know about the 80s, but let me ask you a simple figure: 5 to 1. There are 5 people looking for every one job that is presently available. Now, when I was a child, we used to do musical chairs at school, and you'd go around the table, and the music stopped. There's somebody left out. Well, this is worse. There's only one chair with 5 people trying to sit in it. And it just seems to me that to suggest that unemployment insurance is the reason that you say on page 7 of your testimony, one of the most effective ways to get unemployed workers back to work is for them to take responsibility personally and to be motivated to take jobs that are available. Well, there's a lot of people looking for jobs that are available. The problem is there aren't enough jobs available. So I'm not sure, this is, I think, a textbook example of correlation not equaling causation. The causation here is that we had a massive drop-off in jobs and people working hard to try to find one. I know plenty of people in New Jersey who are telling me they're looking for a job. They're not looking for a handout. They're looking for a job. So I just want to, for the record, have a different view than yours, and I appreciate your view, but I just don't understand when you have 15 million people looking for 3 million jobs, how that, in fact, at the end of the day, is the reason why people want to be lazy, hang on unemployment benefits that are a fraction of what they made at the end of the day. So, Mr. Zandi or Ms. Lee or both, the Recovery Act allowed states to borrow from the federal trust fund to pay without having to pay interest through 2010. My own state is one of 34 states that have outstanding loans, but with unemployment hovering around 10%, it seems to me that everything that we're doing, like the HIRE Act and other initiatives to try to get the private sector, particularly small and mid-sized businesses, to hire people, that is counterintuitive to now have, in essence, taxes rise on them at this time, is either forgiving or postponing, the whole question of the interest-free loans something that we should be considering at this particular time?
Senator Menendez, the states have asked to have their interest payments waived for 2 more years, and states think that's very important. I also think that with respect to returning unemployment funds to solvency, that there are several options that we've employed before, that we've done in the 1980s, that where states, if they can put a plan together, can get some flexibility with their FUTA taxes. Those are some options that we've used in the past to help states get back to solvency. I think what's important is that we do have a solvent system, and that for states that have remained solvent, that there's also something for them, so that there are incentives for states to have a sufficient amount of reserves in their trust fund so that we can pay out benefits when benefits are needed.
I think it would be very therapeutic to extend that grace period for at least 2 years. I mean, if you look at the fiscal situation of the states, nearly every state across the country has a very severe problem, and it would be very counterproductive to put this on them because they'll take it out in the form of program cuts, job cuts, or tax increases. So I think it makes perfect sense to extend this out. I believe there's also penalties that need to be addressed as well. I wouldn't forgive this until you straightened it out. I think that would be inappropriate, but I think I would certainly extend out the grace period. By my calculation, the fiscal year 2011 budget for states is adding up to $50, $60 billion budget hole at this point. So it's very serious.
Finally, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
Secretary Oates, in New Jersey, our previous governor created a program that incentivizes businesses to hire long-term unemployed workers who have exhausted their benefits. In looking at ways that are different than just having unemployment, do you think that that type of effort has merits, something to be considered at a more national level? Is there a better alternative than simply expanding the number of tiers indefinitely or leaving families out in the cold? It seems to me that if we can get people to work and create productivity by incentivizing the private sector to do so, and in doing so, that company grows, and then maybe they have the ability to employ not only that individual on a more permanent basis, but others, it would be looking at UI in a different way.
Senator, I think we need to look at innovative ways to deal with the unemployment insurance issue. Agree with everything that everyone has said about the importance of solvency and expanding the interest-free, but I've stolen the idea from New Jersey and just this week put $90 million of our own ARRA, National Emergency Grant money, on the street for on-the-job training, looking specifically at getting long-term unemployed into subsidized employment for up to 6 months, because I believe in business people. I know if they see a really high-quality worker, they're going to hire them. They're going to make sure that they make room for that worker because they're not going to want them to go to their competitor. So I think what New Jersey did is exactly the right thing. I think getting people into real jobs, learning skills while they're getting paid, just like an apprenticeship model, learn while you earn model, letting the employer see firsthand your quality is going to make that employer much more confident. We've heard from the experts that employers are nervous. They're anxious. They almost lost their business in this recession. So they're going to be very slow to step up to the plate and hire new people. We need to use whatever resources we have. I don't think $90 million nationwide is going to do a lot, but I hope that I can come back to this committee and to the Help Committee and say that on-the-job training, just like incumbent worker training, are things that we should really be looking at to get people paid while they're temporarily unemployed and on the track back to full-term employment.
We'll look forward to seeing the success of yours.
Yes. Thank you,
Mr.
Senator.
Chairman.
Thank you very much.